Welcome back to the Hardware Unboxed News Corner, my first video in a little while. As Steve said in some of his other videos, I've been sick this week, still pretty sick now, but I couldn't leave you guys without a news corner this week, so here I am. Hopefully I'll be a bit better by this time next week. Going to try to keep this one short. Let's get into the news. Quick update to begin with on the wealth of Nvidia GeForce RTX Super rumors that have hit the news over the last few days, most of which you can find on video cards right now. There have been alleged pictures, specifications, release dates, and all that sort of thing, plus various model names for partner cards from all sorts of companies. We've been getting a lot of questions about Super, so I did want to make a brief mention of it here, but unfortunately we can't say anything on the topic, so sorry guys, you'll just have to wait until the official release to hear our thoughts or any further discussion on Super, but clearly it's coming and coming soon, so you shouldn't have to wait too much longer. In other interesting news, an internal memo from Intel was published to Reddit a few days ago detailing the company's thoughts on their upcoming battle with AMD. The long profile was posted to their employee-only portal and doesn't really give any new insights, but it's an interesting read for those that want to see how Intel are discussing AMD with their own employees. I'm not going to read the entire thing here, you can do that if you want to via the source links below, but there are some interesting sections I wanted to highlight. For starters, Intel clearly are aware of what AMD are doing, they don't have their heads in the sand or anything like that. This document clearly states that, especially for high-end desktop and server products, they expect competition to be fierce. In fact, for servers they say competition is expected to be the most intense in about a decade. Intel's AMD competitive expert Steve Collins is quoted as saying Intel will be facing tough competitive challenges. Intel still believe that they will have a performance advantage with their 9th gen core products when it comes to lightly threaded productivity workloads and many gaming benchmarks, but expects to lose in multi-threaded workloads. Intel goes on to say that they don't like Cinebench and feels the tool is not representative of real-life workloads, and say they will work with the press to ensure that they are using what they claim are real applications for evaluating performance. Bit of an interesting one there, given Cinebench is a benchmark tool for a real-world app in Cinema 4D. Intel also expect to be challenged in the server space, especially for throughput-oriented benchmarks that scale well with core count. They do, however, expect to maintain a lead in workloads that make heavy use of cache or require low memory latency. Intel also say they have a competitive position in notebooks and business PCs, as customers value specific aspects such as productivity performance, battery life, and overall manageability, where Intel has a clear advantage versus the competition. Intel believe that their software will be a key advantage to their fight against AMD, which is a bit of a strange one, not sure how that will actually play out in practice. Intel are also banking on their overall profile of products and technologies to give customers the best experience. Some of the most telling comments come in the Q&A section with Steve Collins. Collins admits that AMD will likely price their parts significantly below Intel, and that will translate into good performance per dollar. A lot of his suggestions as to how Intel will compete are interesting. Not sure whether Intel's claims of having a better platform overall will hold up, but this is a repeated theme throughout. A few super interesting quotes are found throughout the document. Collins believes that performance challenges absolutely exist and that some of Intel's innovations may not always result in higher performance benchmark scores, and that they price to what our customers value. He also says that we might dip below on performance like the second half of this year, but that at other times they could deliver 3 times the performance. Collins also says Intel's focus needs to be on getting our execution in shape as soon as possible. We're in a competitive time, partly because of our execution issues, whether that's related to our process technology node or to our products that intercept those nodes. Of course, this whole memo really isn't Intel saying they are screwed or anything like that. It's just to let employees know that they are aware of the issues facing the company and that the executive team are working to make Intel competitive in the short and long term. Still, for us non-employees, it's an interesting read to see where Intel thinks they are currently positioned. VESA has announced DisplayPort 2.0, which is bringing a massive increase in bandwidth that will facilitate an entire new generation of displays. In its fastest configuration, called UHBR20, DisplayPort 2.0 will offer 80 gigabits per second of raw bandwidth, which, thanks to more efficient coding, results in a huge 77.37 gigabits per second of effective bandwidth, just shy of 3 times the bandwidth of the existing DisplayPort 1.4 protocol with HBR3. This is all facilitated by replacing the physical interface layer with Thunderbolt 3, although DisplayPort 2.0 will work through both USB-C and DisplayPort connectors. However, DisplayPort 2.0 is more complicated than just offering 77 gigabits per second of bandwidth. There are actually three modes: UHBR 10, which delivers 38.7 gigabits per second, UHBR 13.5, which ups that to 52.2 gigabits per second, and then the top end UHBR 20 mode at 77.4 gigabits per second. The key thing to note here is that only UHBR 10 will work over standard passive copper cables, similar to those we're using today for DisplayPort devices. To access the higher bitrate modes, at least for now, VESA is pointing towards either tethered setups or active cables to maintain the necessary signal qualities. So with that in mind, DisplayPort 2.0 UHBR 10 is around the same level of bandwidth as HDMI 2.0, which delivers 42.6 gigabits per second, and both will compete for usage in similar devices for now. Another cool thing is that DisplayPort 2.0 introduces mandatory support for display stream compression, or DSC, which further extends the capabilities of the protocol. So what can DisplayPort 2.0 do? Well, with the standard passive UHBR 10 mode, we're going to be able to achieve a lot. 4K 144Hz with HDR over a single cable and possibly with no DSC, 8K 60Hz with DSC and even up to 8K 120Hz provided you don't want HDR. And then as we unlock UHBR 13.5 and UHBR 20 down the line, we should be able to do crazy stuff like 1080p at 1000Hz, 16K at 60Hz, and unthinkable stuff for now like 8K 144Hz with HDR. The first devices to use DisplayPort 2.0 are expected to hit the market in the late parts of 2020. Of course, we will need new display devices such as new GPUs to be released with support for the protocol, but it is a big step forward for DisplayPort and the stuff we can do with displays. A Google researcher discovered a flaw with the way AMD's Epyc server chips provide secure encrypted virtualization, which would, and I'm quoting an ad tech here because I'm not a security expert, allow an attacker to recover a secure key that would provide access between previously isolated VMs on a system. The good news is this flaw has been addressed through a firmware update, version 0.17 build 22, which is now available to all customers. This flaw was first disclosed to AMD in February, the firmware was released in June, and now we're hitting public disclosure. If you're into security stuff, I suggest reading the AnandTech article to get the juicy details, but since it has been corrected through a firmware update and doesn't require ongoing mitigation efforts, it all sounds a bit easy compared to some of the stuff Intel has recently been facing. MSI have launched a low-profile GeForce GTX 1650 graphics card. Some people out there still enjoy building half-height systems where this sort of card can come in handy, and MSI is delivering that through this new GPU, which offers just an HDMI and DVI port. It's a dual-slot card to accommodate the cooler and offers stock performance. Could be handy for HTPC applications where size is an issue. Unfortunately, no word on pricing or availability yet. Intel are set to support an integer scaling option with upcoming Gen 11 GPUs through a driver update that will launch around the end of August. Apparently Gen 11 is required for this feature due to hardware that isn't present in older designs. Integer scaling may be a niche feature for some, but it's key for those that want to upscale, say, emulated games or older games designed to run at a specific and much lower resolution than modern displays. Integer scaling results in no loss to quality when implemented properly. Take a game running at, say, a native 540p. Normal scaling would upscale that to 4K using a 7.1 times scale factor and use something like a bilinear algorithm to do it, which doesn't look amazing and introduces some artifacts. Integer scaling would instead run at a 7 times scale factor and present black bars around the image to preserve the cleanest possible presentation. Unfortunately, Intel weren't clear about whether their integer scaling method is pure integer scaling or just nearest neighbor. The announcement did come with some talk of nearest neighbor. Hopefully they get it right because it would be a great feature for gamers that want to play emulated or older games with the best visual quality. Final topic for this week, EVGA are offering a trade-in program for owners of older GPUs to get a discount when purchasing a new RTX graphics card. If you have an EVGA GTX 980 Ti, GTX 980, GTX 970, GTX 780 Ti, GTX 780, or GTX 770, you might be eligible for between a $50 and $150 discount when purchasing a new GPU if you send the old card in first. Depending on the card at hand, the deal is either slightly better or slightly worse than selling the card on somewhere like eBay. For example, you can get a little more than $75 for a GTX 970 on eBay, but you'll be lucky to get $100 for a GTX 780 Ti, so it really depends on the card you have. The main issue for people wanting to use this deal is you will have to send in your old card before EVGA will send out your new RTX purchase, and it will go through a validation process. It's also only available for those in the US, but still could be handy for some. That's it for this week's News Corner. As always, you can subscribe to get this segment in your inbox every week. Consider supporting us on Patreon, and I'll catch you in the next one.